here we go. On to USC and Washington. Man, easiest action I had all weekend was the over in this football game. I believe it was set at 76. It cashed. It cashed in the third quarter. 52-42. Washington comes out with the win on this one. 94 points scored in this ball game. It was so much so an NCAA 14 football game. If you've ever played one of these, which a lot of people have, if you've ever played one of these, this was classic case of hey, we're just gonna trade off scoring possessions here. And if you throw a pick or if I throw a pick, we lose. If you get a stop or if I get a stop, magically we win. And that's exactly how this happened. And it doesn't matter when this happens. Okay. It's once the tone is set for the ball game that we in a shootout, that we're in one of these NCAA video games. Once the tone is set, it does not matter when the turnover happens. It does not matter. It can happen in midway through the second quarter. In this ball game, it happened right before the half. Caleb Williams gets strip sacked. Washington picks the football up. They score 2 plays later. Boom. 14-point swing, basically, right? Because you turn it over, and we're assuming every possession is a score at this point because it basically felt like that. If every possession is a score and you turn the ball over, you have lost 7 points that we are automatically mentally giving you. And not only that, you give it up too. So it's a 14-point swing the moment you put the ball on the turf in this football game. And again, it doesn't happen. It doesn't matter when it happens. All it takes is one. And it happened right there before the half. Washington scores. Now, I know USC comes back out in the second half, and they're like, hey, our defense might show up. Boom. They get an interception. Red zone interception. Tipped ball. They pick it off. It's the only time they stop them the rest of the football game. They hold them to a field goal 2 or 3 possessions later. But no, this was about Dylan Johnson. He goes for 256 yards on the ground. Washington, one of those football teams that, hey, if you're gonna play light boxes, which is what USC was doing, if you're gonna play light boxes, then we're just gonna continue to run the football. There was multiple times on like 3rd and 9 where they run the ball because they know they're going for it on 4th down. Right there in that football game. And this is classic USC defense. I want to try to give enough credit to Washington in this analysis. They did a good enough job staying balanced. 256 yards passing, 256 yards on the ground. Offensive line played well. Defense showed up when they needed to. Pass rush showed up when they needed to. But man, this USC defense is historically bad. This USC defense, my final note on this one is a, quote, disgrace to defensive football. The amount of times that they have people misaligned, the amount of times that they have people blowing coverages, the amount of times that they have zone defenders just staring at quarterbacks instead of actually floating to their zone, the amount of times that they just look completely confused is just, it's bonkers. It's bonkers to me. For a person, I would imagine Alex Grinch makes $1 million a year, right? He's as a Power 5 coordinator at one of the biggest programs in the country. Let's say he makes $750,000. It is the biggest waste of money right now in college football. I have no clue what they're teaching, what they're coaching, how they're coaching it, because it's noticeable on tape every single weekend. It's like, what in the world are you doing? Okay. They've given up 500 yards of total offense 4 times this year. And they've only played 7 Power 5 opponents. So more than half the time against a Power 5 football team, they're giving up half of a century on the offense, or half of a 1,000 on the defensive side of the football. They've allowed 40-plus points. 40-plus points in 5 of their 8 games against Power 5 football games or football teams. It's amazing. It's amazing. And here would be my thing. Here would be my thing if I were, because it's an NFL discussion now with Lincoln, right? That's what we've all boiled this down to. Everybody's talking about whether or not Lincoln will go to the NFL. We've given up whether or not Lincoln will figure out defensive football. But if I'm an NFL decision maker, right, and I'm deciding whether or not Lincoln is going to be the head coach of my organization, I would look at that defense and I would say lack of institutional control. Lack of organizational control for him to have allowed that for so long, because it's been like 4 years at this point. We've watched the entire USC regime get boiled down to they can't stop shit. They got the best quarterback we've all ever seen. They can't stop nothing. They can't stop a nosebleed. Lack of organizational control is what that boils down to every single time it happens. So there you go. The NFL stuff, yeah, it could have been leaked from an agent, whatever. The chat's hitting on this. The NFL, no NFL team wants him. You say that. You say that. We say that. All right, we think that. And then our man's Cliff Kingsbury goes, 7 games below 500 at Texas Tech. For these same reasons, by the way, no defense. For these same reasons, goes below 7 games below 500 at Texas Tech. Here's 4 years in an NFL run, 3 years in an NFL run. We say this. No NFL team would sign up for this. And then an NFL team drafts a quarterback and tries to figure out the quarterback position. And it's like, hey, Lincoln knows offense. So it happens. It happens every single year. Every single year, the NFL teams hire a known OC to come be a head coach.